And happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome. I am Steve Leahy. This is Thursday Live. Hopefully, your holiday was great. If you didn't celebrate a holiday, I hope your time off from work was good. If you work for yourself and you don't celebrate a holiday, happy Thursday. Today, we're just kind of winding down the year. I figured we'd work a little bit on this Emily painting, the marble painting. If you caught the Tech Tuesday this week, you can see that I've restarted this for the third time. So I have a few other things going on, but that just seemed like a good day to do this. I was working on 543s right before. So, but I figured we did that last week. And we do a little bit of this today. It's kind of casual. It's kind of fun. So that's what I got. No big show and tell today. Like I said, everything's pretty much winding down. One note though, a little bit of house cleaning or housekeeping. The sale ends on New Year's Day, so if you are considering picking anything up in the store, now is the time. Now is the time. It's Holiday 23 is the code, and that will get you 30% off anything in the store. So very, very cool deals there. So yeah, that's what I got. And yeah, let's just get to it. I'm ready. All right. So here's where we're at. I will say hello to everyone. Matt, what is up, buddy? Enzo, Simon, and Cody, what's going on, everyone? Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. I don't know what that is. It says it's not really getting enough info, but you guys seem to be okay. So yeah, it says it's good. I don't know. I don't know what that is. I'm just going to go with it. All right, never mind. All right, so here's the painting. If you want kind of the update on everything that's kind of going on with this thing, you can check out that Tech Tuesday. But I've got it now. I've got this painting to the point where I really like it, meaning it's heading in the right direction. Now, this painting is designed to be, or I wanted it to be a series. So I knew I'd be doing a few of them. So what I did was, this is something I don't normally do, but when I know I'm going to be doing a bunch of them, I'll pre-mix a lot of the colors. So now that I've got it kind of worked out, these are the three main colors for this. And there's the base here. I'm sorry. This is the base of the painting, which is, believe it or not, that's this color right here-ish, the bluish color. And then I have the highlight color, which is a little bit of white, some yellow ochre. And then finally, it's this brownish tinted color, which is a bunch of stuff. Yellow, ochre, black, and a little bit of red. And then I'll use black too, and maybe a little bit of white to get some really bright highlights. So that's kind of where we're at. Jeff Knoll, what's up? What's happening? Dan Mayer, what's going on? Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Yeah, Jeff, one more live feed before the end of the year. It's funny, I finished the first 543 this morning for Monday, and those are technically 2024 543, so I actually dated it wrong, so I had to fix that. But yeah, they'll all be 2024s. Cheers to you guys today. I have water. It was a hell of a morning, absolutely hell of a morning. So I should be drinking, but I figured it'd be a long day if I start now. So cheers to that. You guys over on the east side of the Atlantic, you guys can go nuts because it's 6 o'clock there now. So happy after work. All right, before I cover this up with the palette, if I need to, this is kind of some of the reference photos that I grabbed. And again, this was a big part of why I ended up restarting this painting. This painting was heading more towards this type of feel, the David, the marble, yellowish marble. But I really, really wanted this kind of pale white feel. And so that was one of the big reasons to restart this. So before I put the palette up, which will kind of cover this, I figured I'd show you that. Ryan, what's up, buddy? Mr. Barker, what's going on? There we go. All right. I'm going to adjust the a few things on the camera. For instance, you guys got a lot of light on here. There's not a whole lot of paint on here, so it seems very washed out, but it is very washed out. So if it looks like I'll be doing a lot of this really super like light stuff, then I will darken the exposure so you can see what I'm doing. But you guys are pretty much seeing it as the way it is right now. All right, so where to jump in from this. A lot of this was like a fact-finding mission as I was kind of messing around with this. It was me just trying to figure out like what needed to happen to get this color-wise to work the way I wanted it to. And it is. So what I'm going to do first, I think, is I'm going to pull back a little bit of the blue to start getting the shading. What I'm finding is to get the translucency for the marble that I want, that was the biggest challenge. It's deceivingly complex, which I love. I love it when it happens, when I start messing with it and it doesn't come out right because I'm really not paying attention, and then eventually try to figure it out. So what's going on is the light hits the marble. It's this kind of yellowish white color. Then the actual shadow is more of this cooler blue color here, and then a little bit more, dark black almost. But as you get into some of the hollows, the light goes through the marble, the thin parts of the marble, and creates this like yellowish cast, this color in here. And so that was the fun part, trying to figure out where all that was supposed to be. I guess the color was too far gone to glaze another color over and shift it back. On the second one, yeah, well, there was a lot of issues with this. I'll jump into this, and if you guys want the extra details, you can check out the Tech Tuesday. But here is the original painting, and it was definitely more towards the yellowish marble, and I didn't want that. But not only that, it was really the pearl that kind of ended up making me decide to just totally start over on this. The problem with trying to shift this to this, which is what I would have had to do, is I would have had to add a lot of that light blue, and the more paint I add to this, the more that pearl gets covered, and it doesn't. I would just end up fighting. All right, let me try it again with English. I would end up just fighting this thing all the way through until all the pearl was covered. So I'm like, why just restart it? You know what I mean? Instead of not only having to get the forms and all that fun stuff, the values and the tones, I'd be fighting the pearl the whole time through. So again, I thought it was going to be a good idea, but it wasn't really. What I may end up doing though at the end is using that pearl in certain spots on this to bring out that sparkle, that metallic sparkle, but I can be a little bit more selective with it if I just kind of put it in random spots. So that's really the reason that I kind of pulled out of this one. And again, here's a great example that I show in the video on Tech Tuesday. If I tilt this down, this area of the bottom of her neck gets really dark, but it's not. It's just the way the pearl reflects in that one spot. And that's not really what I want. And again, her eye too, I mentioned this in the video. If I hold it like this, it's approaching the right tone. But as I tilt it, that, looks like she has a black eye because the paint doesn't reflect the light, the pearl does. So you get this really weird back and forth. And again, like I say in the video, I knew that, but I thought I could cheat around it a little bit. All right. So that's where we got. All right. I keep getting notices from Facebook that they're not getting enough signal, although on my end it looks really good. So let me know if things get goofy. Would be an interesting experiment to try something like this on glass. Yeah, it definitely would be a lot of fun. Simon, that's awesome. That's not an excuse. That's great. I love it. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I have the pencil lines on here really lightly. That was another reason I had to restart, because I cleared the whole thing and I couldn't get rid of the pencil lines, and that really had a big effect, like down on the neck part of it down here. You could see that pencil line and I couldn't get rid of it. So in order to get rid of it in that instance, say this painting had that happen. Like say I sealed this thing and there's, pencil lines that are too dark. On this painting, it's easy because there's no pearl to mess with. I could just cover it over with the base color and essentially erase it. You can't do that with the pearl color because the more paint you add, you just lose the pearl. So again, it was a lot of crap going into that decision. But Timothy John Luke Smith. Tim, how did last night go? Sorry, I missed it. It's crazy. It has been, when I tell you last night and this morning have been insane. I do not undersell that. It has been crazy. All right. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? This is, you know, it's fun. I like Thursdays because there is no plan. I like Thursdays even more with this one because I'm really figuring out with you guys. So it's a lot like the open studio, but it's live. So yeah, because I've never done this kind of thing, so I don't really know where it's going, but we'll figure it out. I think I'm bouncing between using the blue to start bringing in some of the shading. I'm really tentative. You know, I don't want to put, like, even though it's going to be really dark, like especially like in certain areas, I don't want to start with that. I really want to sneak up on this. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the original blue and go from there. Yeah, Tim had mentioned that he's working on setting up a second feed. He was doing Saturdays for a little while, which was a blast. That was mostly just pastel. I liked watching that too. So I think he's trying to work out what day would be best. And Tim, you had mentioned Friday. There's, you know, I mean, I think you should just do whatever works for you. You know, because I mean, for me, it doesn't. What's going on there? Technical issues there. For me, it doesn't matter because when two people are on, I will usually have two windows open, and then, you know, if one is more visual than the other one, I'll put the volume down on that one. So yeah, so it doesn't matter to me. I mean, I usually kind of watch everyone. So again, this is the base color, which is the blue, this pale blue, but I've already put a lot of the highlight color on, the white. So this will appear a lot darker now than it was when I first put it down, which is good. All right. I don't know what's going to happen today. It's just, like I said, today's just a whatever day. Yeah, this is exactly what I need to have happen. You guys aren't going to be able to see this unless I reduce the, let me reduce the exposure a little bit. So you're going to see it darker than it really is, but you're also going to be able to see what I'm doing. Actually, let's move you guys a little bit more in, because you don't need to see the whole thing. You just need to see the details, as they say. We'll see how this goes. I also have the autofocus back on. I keep messing with it. It's not the camera's fault that the autofocus has a hard time, especially with this painting right now, because it's so light and it's so, you know, close in value across the board. So the camera has a real hard time focusing. Actually, I'm going to lighten that up a little bit because you guys are seeing it a little too dark, I think. That's too light. That's going to be what we got to do right there. I think Fridays are pretty free at the moment. Kelly O'Bear would usually be on, but he's not doing live feeds at the moment due to his health reasons. Yeah, and oh, that's true. Yeah, because I was going to say Kelly goes later, but Tim usually has his feed at around 9:30, so that would cross over. Brian, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the whole thing. And then, I mean, you have such high of a skill set anyway that, you know, whatever you end up doing, you'll just end up sucking it into, you know, whatever else you're working on. So even if you pick up something completely different than what you normally do, you'll end up just applying it to what you really want to do. So yeah, I'd say go for it. You know, just pick up as much weirdness as you can, you know. Yeah, this is working out lovely. Hopefully you can see that. It is really light, but I do want to kind of sneak up on this. I don't want to, I definitely don't want this to be super in your face. In fact, what I did was, again, this is the base color, which is primarily Autoborn Sealer White, which is not a great, like, detail type paint. So it's, oh no, is it opaque white? Yeah, it is. Wow. Wait, really? I wrote opaque white on this. I'm not convinced that is opaque white, but it probably is. But either way, what I'm doing is I'm reducing it with 4050 and 4011. As soon as I can find it again. There it is. So yeah, one part 40, 50 to 5 parts reducer. So this thins out that white and it lets it spray a lot nicer. Now, again, it's almost all white, but then there's a little bit of blue and some black in it too. But I just keep adding a few drops of that reducer mix until it sprays the way I need it to spray. So that's the marching order for that. And that goes back to what I've said a million times. You know, whenever anyone asks, you know, oh, how much do you reduce it? I'm like, I don't know. How long is a rope? You know what I mean? It's like your reduction is completely individual to what you're trying to get out of the paint, the brush you're using. There is no set amount. I missed Monday's feed because I got called out to work. Why did you start the painting again? I missed your explanation. Enzo, I explained it actually on the Tech Tuesday, so you can rewatch that. But there was a lot of stuff that went wrong with the second version of this, mostly because I based it with a pearl color, and I thought I'd be able to kind of wrangle that pearl color to do what I want and still give me that cool shimmery look. But it just didn't work. It created too many issues. It definitely had the shimmer that I was looking for. It definitely had that, you know, kind of marbly shine to it. But getting the actual painting done on top of that was just going to be too difficult. Okay. The drawing is a little bit skewed on this, so I'm gonna real quick. I'm gonna erase some of that so that I can keep working on this. Like there's inside of her mouth is slightly off. Here we go. I may have to I have to figure out what's right there, whether it's the paint is a little too low or the drawing was a little too high. I'm not sure which one is right, and I got to make sure I know. So I'll work on her nose because I know that's right. In fact, the yellowish color is dead on her nostrils, so the yellow is right on her nose. So my guess is then the drawing is wrong down here, because because I cut this all out as one template, all the yellow, this ochre color, brownish color. So her eye is right, her nostrils are right. It means her mouth must be right where the paint is. So the pencil line is wrong. Okay. I shouldn't be doing this. I just reduced that paint. So instead of putting it in a real critical area, I'll try in an area where it isn't as critical, like up here where her eye is pretty dark, and just see how the paint is spraying. And it's still a little bit thick. Add a little bit more reducer to it, or that reducer mix. I really want that to come out smooth. And I don't care if it covers really well. It's more the sprayability is what I'm looking for. And thank you all for dropping by last night. If you came by last night for the open studio for the Razor Blade. Oh, I said I was going to give you guys a sneak preview of where we're at, because I've already recorded the next 2 weeks on that. So I will give you guys the sneak preview on where this is going to be in the next 2 weeks. And then you guys can jump back in and see it as it progresses, as soon as I find it. What did I do with it? There it is. All right, here is where we're at, or this is where we will be at in 2 weeks. So there's the razor blade. So I've got a lot of the back end done, which I'm super happy with. I'll get you a little closer, I think. Can I get you a little closer? Yeah, I can. Yeah, so that's how that's coming out. Really, 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 really happy. So if you want to see the update, you can check out the premiere next Wednesday, and it's just going to keep going. So there you go. That is what's happening with that. And that usually blade paintings take me about 10 to 12 hours. So that open studio is only going to be like 20 episodes. Thanks, Simon. What's up, Bobby? Yeah, Bobby, don't worry. It's because some of the fun part about it is seeing it like where it's at right now, and then watching the premieres to see how I got there. Especially like everything that you see right there happened in 2 episodes. That's only about an hour's worth of work. So yeah. All right, let's see how we're working now. guys are in the right spot. I'm going to move over a little bit, I think. I'm kind of at a weird angle here, so I'm going to readjust. I'll move this over here. I don't have the jumbo crazy lens on right now because I was working on something else with the camera. Working on next week's Tech Tuesday, so I'll have to try this and see if this works. I don't think I'll need the palette, so I'll leave you guys pretty much in the center. And then hopefully that'll, yeah. Oh, thanks, Simon. Yeah, I'm really happy with it. At this point with that, I got to start working on the frame. So that'll be part of the Tech Tuesday, the Open Studio for that. Because that's all those razor blade paintings have custom hardwood frames. And quite literally that frame is I cut that out of a single piece of wood. It's not a single piece of wood, but I cut it out of one plank and then, you know, do all the frame rails and glue it all together. And I'll include all that with the Open Studio with that painting as well, because that's fun, because all those razor blade paintings get a custom handmade hardwood frame. It's part of the deal because I don't ever sell them without a frame, and you can't just frame them. For me, it needs to be something special, so I'll include that with the video too. All right, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, yes I do. Okay, I was working on the nose. I should really have the what did I do there? Put a little mark in it. Yeah, if I can get this to spray the way I want it to, I can freehand a lot of this, but if it's not going to work out the way I need it to, I can always use some of the cutouts. Again, it doesn't seem to be flowing super well. There it is. Yeah, that's better. Better. So New Year's is coming up. Hopefully you guys have a great New Year. I'm going to be happy if it's just quiet. So, and then I do have plans on heading home, heading back east in a few weeks, so a couple of weeks. So I'll keep you guys up on that too. Now, what's really fun too with this, again, this is the base blue color, but I put a lot of the highlight color already on this. And because the base color is essentially blue anyway, there is blue shift, but you can't tell because it's all blue. So it really works out well for this painting because I'm freely able to add highlights without having to worry about that shift in tone that you would get if this was just a regular portrait. Like I couldn't really attack it like I'm attacking it here. So, airbrushing by Woodward, welcome. Happy New Year. That's awesome. We are all airheads. That's great. Marshall, what's up, buddy? Lewis. I'm always going to call you Marshall when you're on YouTube. And I'll always apologize for it too, because I see the name and that's immediately what I think, or what pops into my head. So, yeah, you guys, I don't say it enough, but I love seeing all the work that everyone's producing too. If I'm not following you, please let me know, or I don't know, I guess I'll have to check. Because I do love the updates. I love seeing what everyone's working on. Ryan's stuff. Ryan just posted a big post with a lot of his work, and some of it I hadn't seen yet, and it's just it's a lot of fun to see everything that everyone's doing. So I talked to my lovely daughter this morning, which is great. So I try to keep up with her, especially with they've got a busy year coming up, and it's going to get really hectic for them. So it's always fun to catch up and see how they're all doing there. Be even better to be home to see them all, because I didn't get home for Christmas because of the way things went. So it'll be really, really good to catch them when I get home in a couple of weeks. So this blue, again, remember this is the base color blue that I used as the primer for this whole thing. So there is really nothing I can do to this painting with this color that will ruin it. That's the beauty of it. I can't go too dark with this because it's basically the base tone color. It is showing up as dark here, like it's showing up as shadowing and shading. But again, because it's the base color, I can't push it too far. So it's really nice for kind of drawing in a lot of these really subtle shifts in tone, like in her nose. Because I know, like I said, I know I can't get into trouble. And if I get it right, then I only have to darken it later and it's done. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm going to get in trouble. Now, there is a spot here where it looks like there's a scratch going across her nose. I'm going to have to fix that. But again, that's same deal. That's this this white light color, like, you know, I want to say it's like a parchment color. That's the color I used to start that. So that's what I'll use to fix that. And then right now, at this point, it's an easy fix. Mr. Garcia, cheers to you. Cheers to you. Chris, your stuff is on the way. I have secured the proper ornament and sent that out. So, oops, that's the wrong color for that. Sorry, get distracted. Yeah, except I'm the only one I'm missing to get out is Richard Bernier's Win. There was a little bit of a snafu with the one he picked. Actually, I had sent to New Hampshire. My sister, who's a great artist, had an event, and I sent a bunch of 543s for her event. And the one that Richard wanted was in that group, and I had to get it back from New Hampshire. And then unfortunately, especially with international, Richard is in Canada, so international orders, I really love to make sure I have the right address. I would love to make sure I have the right address anyway, but if something goes to the wrong place in the U.S., it's not that big of a deal. But if it gets to the wrong place in Canada or outside of the U.S., like any international type of thing, that can become really a big problem. So I sent him a message to confirm or to get his address and waiting to hear back. But I love to have everything kind of buttoned up by the end of the year. So, and the whole list is reset for Monday. So everyone who made a suggestion on Monday is eligible to win a painting, which is a whole lot of fun. I got a bunch of great suggestions too. You know, we're rolling in, we're in the third year of this 543 thing. And honestly, I was kind of expecting everyone to just kind of be over it, but it just keeps growing, and that makes me super happy. So tell everyone you know, if they want a free painting, that's where to be. I bought something I wasn't aware. No, your ornament, your Christmas ornament that I owed you is shipped. That's what I was saying. I really should have something stronger than water, but I don't want to be sleeping by 4. So, all right, so the hair, I really need to be careful with the hair. I'm working from an actual photo of Emily. So I'm turning this photo of her, in case you haven't seen what I'm doing. I'm taking this photo of my daughter and turning it into a marble statue. So the training that I have to ignore now is to try to, what I'll do is if I keep working on this, her hair just kind of the way it is, my brain will automatically kind of do what it does, and I'll make the hair look too realistic, too much like hair. I don't want that. What I really, really want is this feel here. So I got to keep looking at this and then using the bigger areas of her hair to kind of get that started. So that's why it's been such a fun painting, because I've been having to bounce back and forth from everything. Oh, you're kidding. Good, Chris. Nice. So that's again why this has been so much fun, because it's not, it's not the normal fare for me where I'm just like kind of translating a reference photo that I have, exactly. This is a lot of interpretation. It's a lot of moving around. It's a lot of decision making, and that's why it's so much fun. The other thing I did too that I didn't do on the Monday feed when I did this was I did paint the background black. So I knocked that in too. Sleeping by 4, how old are you? Well, no, it's not that. It's not that I'm old, but if I start drinking heavy at 1 o'clock, or whatever it is, to 1:30, yeah, I'll be asleep by 4. So, yeah, my day drinking days are over, I think, which is okay. I don't mind that. I tell a story a lot. I have a bunch of friends, the musician friends, because it's just the other side of the world that I lived on or in. And there was one who thankfully he stopped drinking, but when he was professionally drinking, let's say, he would literally get drunk 3 times a day when he was at his worst. So he would wake up in the morning, start drinking, stop for a little bit, sober up, and then start drinking again and get drunk again, and then stop drinking for a little while, and then when he would go out on the gig at night, he would drink during the gig and get drunk again. So he actually got drunk 3 times a day. It is amazing that he's still alive. So, and like I said, the good news, or the end of that story, which is good, is he quit drinking a long time ago. So that's when I knew him when I was a young pup. So, all right, I'm gonna get her. Oh, you can't see it. I'm gonna get her lower jaw in. So with this, I want to make sure I get this kind of in the right spot, and I know I cut out a template for this, so we're gonna use that to get that done. And like I said, I already cut out most of the templates I need for this to make it easy. I mean, beer during the day is nice, but 3 times a day could be an issue. It certainly was an issue, and he wasn't drinking beer. He was hitting some pretty hard stuff. So. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I shouldn't say if I start drinking at 1, I'll be asleep. I mean, you know, if it's one after another, then yeah, I'll be asleep by 4. But if I have a beer in the afternoon, that's not bad. Like with you guys. Did I cut that out? Did I not? Interesting. I did not. Okay, well, we're going to cut that out. This is my sketch, the one I use for the sketch, so there's pencil lines all over it, but that's okay. All I need is this shadow right here. And I just need a general idea where it is. No, actually, let me rephrase that. I need a really light version of where it exactly is. So I'm going to cut this out really quick, and I'll show you how this works. Again, I'm going to use the blue base color for this. So again, it's very difficult for me to get into trouble with this. Not impossible, because, you know, what can go wrong? Lee Jordan, what's up, buddy? Professional drinking, I wish I knew that back when I was professional in training. Ah, yes. Yes. Yeah, I grew up with a lot of professional drinkers, being Irish and Italian, and yeah, it's funny too, because when I basically paid for college, I paid my way through college by playing in a band, and I look back at those days now, and you were just talking about being old. I look back at those days and I cannot figure out how I did it. So I worked at this music store. I went to school full time, and I played in the band on the weekends. And so, like there was a regular thing we did. We did a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, in the band. And so I would come back from school, work for a few hours at the store, and then I had all my drums in the car. So then I would go to the gig on Thursday night, and we'd play till like 1. and then I would go home, I would sleep, I would get up at, whatever it was, 7 or 8 in the morning, drive to school again, and do the same thing. And like I said, I have no idea how I pulled it off. Thank you, Tim. You're awesome. I have no idea. Because if I had to do anything like that, like if I had to do 2 events in a day, like not events, if I had to do 2 things in a day, I'm like, what the heck? I shouldn't say that. I'm really not that bad. Unfortunately, I did reach professional status, ironically, while playing in abandoned hotels in Waikoloa. Yeah, it's easy to do. It's easy to do, especially, I mean, I'm not sure how old you are, so I'm going to be 55 next month. And so back when I was playing, when in my 20s, yeah, it was super easy because lots of places love to pay you in beer. So yeah, so it was easy to play in. And I was in a classic rock band, so the music wasn't particularly challenging. So it was easy to not pay attention and do stupid stuff. On the Big Island of Hawaii, that is awesome because I was going to ask. That seems like a good place to have your gig. All right, so you notice I've got the whole area of her jaw cut out, not just the shadow, not just the actual jawline. I have the whole area. So what I'm going to do is, again, I need some sort of guide on where to kind of start the shadow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, now that I have this kind of, think of it like a drawing guide. It's really a stencil, but it's not. I'm not going to use it like a stencil. I'm going to use it to just start spraying in this blue so I know where to go with it. So I'm really not going to go too close to the edges, except, in the back is fine, because that's going to be really dark. But down along her jawline here, actually I'm going to put these magnets a little bit closer together. Come on. Oh, it's not going to work because this ampersand board is resisting that. So we'll use a heavier duty magnet. No, we're not. We're going to use a heavy duty magnet. Ay. That is a heavy duty magnet. That's just going to keep things from getting too crazy here. All right. Again, so I just use that as a guide to kind of float that area in where it needs to be. Now the other option is to transfer the line, like a graphite line in really lightly. But this way I don't have to worry about sealing that line in, I don't have to worry about having to erase it if I don't get rid of it enough. This method is great because it just shows where I need to be without having any kind of pencil lines on there. And again, super hard to get into trouble with this because it's just the base color. Would this project have been easier if you use an HD stencil? Chris, that's an awesome question. It would have been a different painting for sure because the HD stencil puts stuff down. Like I would have to, how do I even describe this? Do I have my other painting here? Yeah, I do. This is good. I have the other painting. So let me show you, for those who don't know what Chris is talking about, this is an HD stencil. I know it's hard to see. There's a car on there. And it's just like a piece of screen printed material. So you send them your photo and they will send you back this really cool, literally, it's HD for high def. So it's a high definition stencil. And then what you do is you take that and you spray that on your board. This painting is almost, well, it's almost done, but you get the idea. So that spare tire right there, that's what you get. That is the HD stencil. That's not, that's not me painting on it yet, except for that little bit of blue. So that's what you get. So if I sent to HD the photo of my daughter, I would get, this really pale gray back, and I could just spray it on there. So yeah, so the trick with that would be, is once I put the HD stencil on it, then to go over it with that base blue a bunch of times to kind of really like push that HD stencil back so I could just barely see it. And then I could freehand on it and get it, get it to work. The problem is with the HD is it has that kind of pixelated look to it, and it would have that pixelated look like on her cheekbones. So I would almost have to bury that HD stencil, almost get rid of it to the, to the point you wouldn't even be able to see it. That's the only issue with that. So you'd have to plan on covering the whole thing with paint. But yeah, it's an excellent question. Could you do it? Yeah, absolutely. It would be much more freehand-ish than what I'm doing here. But yeah, it's a good question. HDs, yeah, they're amazing. They are amazing. Portuguese Hawaiian, born and raised in Hawaii, and priced out of Paradise in 2010. Now I live in Indiana. That's a big move from Hawaii to Indiana. That's crazy. Love it. I am also Midwestern now, even though there's the argument that Ohio is more central than Midwest, but especially where we are literally on the east side of Ohio, so we are we are more Pennsylvanian than Ohioan, I guess. All right, so see what that did? So again, if I showed you that, it doesn't look like the base because I have so much white on it, but now I know where her jaw is. So now I can kind of sharpen that up and darken it. And actually, do I want to do this? Again, I should keep looking at that reference photo because I want to make sure I know I'll have to introduce some of that brownish yellow in here for the translucency under her jaw. So we'll mess around with that too. Nice. If I had hit this too hard and there was an edge there, again, what would be really nice is there are two ways to fix that. I could grab this light color and then just kind of fade back into it, and that would cover that edge. The other thing I could do is, well, actually I couldn't really erase. I was going to say I could erase a little bit, but if I erased, I would go back down to the base color blue through that white. So that would be the way to fix that. Just spray over it with a little bit of the white. I keep saying it's white, but it's really this, and it is. It's like a parchment color. So what that is white with yellow ochre mixed into it. Yeah, without a doubt, Lewis. Steve, what's up, buddy? Oh, thank you. Yeah, Lewis, the jaw is definitely a good place to overdo it, to get it, to get to be too much, too fast, for sure. All right, so I'm going to assume that the yellow part, or this brownish color, is correct now, because of her nose. So and I also gotta, I don't want to get too far into this without. So her lips are going to be a good example of that translucency I'm talking about. So let me show it to you here, because again, this is really that complex battle that I was talking about with this, and yeah, you can kind of see it. So here's this area right here is kind of like, then this whole area really is what I'm looking at as far as my reference for the color. If you notice, as you get in deep in the cutout, you can see that yellowy translucency, but as it starts to get out to where the light kind of hits it, then it turns back into this bluish color. So I got to keep all that in mind. So for instance, her lips are going to follow this same kind of thing. The blue will be there on the main part of her lips, but as it curls in, as it's carved out, then I have to reintroduce that yellowy ochre color. So it's fun. It's such a blast to try to figure all this out. And the best part is once I get this one done and I'm happy with it, the rest of them are going to be easy because I'll have the marching orders for it, Cad, what's up? What's going on? And thank you for being a member. That's awesome. Cad, do I know who you are? Do I just not know your YouTube handle? But if I don't know if I do know who you are, yeah, let me know. And if I don't know who you are, excellent. Thank you so much. That's very cool. You've been on here for a little 5 years. Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome, Lewis. I mean, I say that, but I know everything has its ups and downs. I know it's expensive to live there. So, everyone says, oh, I'd love to live in paradise until, you have to kind of mess with that reality or deal with that reality of, certain things. What I have found by moving out into the middle of, Midwest or like rural Ohio is that everything has its thing. You know what I mean? Like, I honestly, because I used to live like 15 minutes from the ocean, the Atlantic, in Massachusetts, and I really thought I was going to miss the ocean a lot because there's a lot of sensory type interaction with just being on the beach, the smell of the water, the sound, all of that, and I really thought I was going to like hardcore miss that because I spent a lot of time near the ocean. However, it's interesting how it was replaced by a whole new set of different sensory things that are around here. For instance, here, like it's all farmland, so there's a very rich, not only cow, but just earth-wise, there's a very rich smell to the area. Sometimes good, sometimes not good, but that's true with the ocean too. And then the sounds, like I said, the sounds are different. There's different birds here. There's different bugs here in a way, and all that stuff was just kind of replaced for me, so it's just as enjoyable. So anyway, yeah, I mean, whenever I get home, I always end up at the ocean. So that's me, Gary. Oh, Gary, awesome. Okay, well then I do know you. It's awesome. All right, so what I did was I cleaned out this other brush, and I'm gonna put this the marble tint, this yellowish color in here. So what I can do is with the two brushes, I'll be able to bounce back and forth a little bit and not end up with the same like the blue everywhere basically, which isn't really what's going on anyway. Steve, do you miss creative energy in the Northeast? Yeah, I really do, Tim. That's a huge thing. Where I was at, I was only about 14. Well, yeah, again, it was probably about 20 minutes from where I was living. I lived in Weymouth, which it's south of Boston, and but it's only on the weekends it would take me 20 minutes to get to downtown. So. And then the studio I had was in Boston. So yeah, being right there, ground zero, it was really, really nice that way. I do miss that. I do miss the art organizations. The closest one I got in here in the Associated Artists of Pittsburgh. And that's great, but they're an hour and a half away, or an hour and 15 minutes away. So that's kind of a bummer. So yeah, that I do miss, Tim. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's still stuff going on around here, like Lisbon, where the gallery is that I have some of my stuff. It's a great place, and that's only about 30 minutes away. But yeah, nothing like being right there. And I mean, Tim, what you got going on there is, I mean, the place you got to be is either LA or New York. So I don't even know what the culture shock would be if I was used to where you lived, and then had to move somewhere else. The museums and everything, it's just overwhelming, really, when you think about it. You can't I mean, Tim, you've lived there, your whole life? And I mean, do you feel like you've seen, even half of what's going on there? It's crazy. So, I don't know. All right, same deal here. So I've got this here, this marble tint. There is some reducer in here. I thought I'd be using this right out of the bottle, but I still find that I need to add a little bit of juice to it, a little bit of 40/50 and reducer. The yellow ochre sucks to spray, so I knew I'd have to be adding stuff to it. But again, I want this really, 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 really transparent. I don't want to get into trouble with this at all. So now, New York and DC, that's the nice thing about where I'm at right now here in Northeast Ohio. So New York and DC are not that far away. They're easily a day drive, just a strong day, like 6 to 8 hours depending on which one. So it's not that bad. And again, what's nice is Cincinnati is 3 hours, 4 hours away. Cleveland and Pittsburgh are both an hour away, so we're in a good spot. Oh, that's cool, Tim. Let's add the juice to it, baby. You know it. Tell me about it. I missed jumping into the Pacific before and after work. Some things we take for granted until we move and discover how much. Yeah, that's really it. All my whole family is back east, so I knew that was going to be huge, and I'd miss them all a lot, and that's certainly true. But as far as just living there, yeah, and then it's also the convenience, and it's not so much like if we lived closer to Cleveland or Pittsburgh or even Canton. We're not that far from Canton, Ohio. If I lived closer to there, I'd get a lot of the same like conveniences that I had back in Massachusetts. I mean, I could literally walk to Dunkin' Donuts from where I was living. You can't do that here. But then again, the upside to that is, at night, it's super quiet here. It's like just totally relaxing. So that's the trade-off, I guess. All right, so I've got that color in here now. So I'm going to reclaim some of this yellow that I started to put in. And again, this is just on the undersides where that marble, the light is like pushing through that marble, and lighting that up. And this is where the yellow comes in. That's the problem I had with the other painting, the second version. There was just too much of it. I had too much of that yellow. What am I doing for her lips? I'm going to go on the underside and see how that looks, and then we'll roll the blue on the top part of it. I think that's how that's going to work out. Her teeth, what are they going to, her teeth got to have that yellow on them too. Here we go. And the same thing for underneath the bottom of her lip. I'm sure the bottom edge, just as it rolls over, is going to show that yellowish translucency. I think that works. I had a bad experience with a gallery here. They told me that airbrush wasn't real art. Brian, that's not the gallery at all for you then, because I've been, and Tim can back me up on this, I've had stuff in museums. Actually, all right, so I'll give you never mind me, just airbrush in general. So the Butler Institute for Art, Tim, the organization that Tim belongs to, the Pastel Society, has one of their shows there every year. It's huge. It's a well-known museum. They've got an amazing collection, and they've got a bunch of airbrush artists or a bunch of airbrush art in there. So Peter Mayer is the number one airbrush guy they have in there. So as soon as you walk in, you turn right as you walk in, and there's this giant Peter Mayer painting of a horse. And he is spray gun and airbrush and paintbrush too. But yeah, it's just that idea maybe was a thing, in the 70s and 80s. But anyone who still thinks that way, just turn and walk the other way, because they're totally out of touch right now. I haven't heard that in that what you just said I used to hear, but I haven't heard that in a long time. So yeah. Because and then I'll go before I was ready for this argument, because you did hear it a lot more, and it's I could go on and on about it. It's like, what's the difference between this and the studio lights that I have right now? You know what I mean? The studio lights are obviously better than what they had in the Renaissance, right? They had candles glued to their forehead. So why don't we all paint with candles on our forehead? Because the lights we have now are better for that. This tool is the same thing. It applies paint like a paintbrush, but different, and it uses a certain amount of technology. Because its manufacture is so refined now, I think that's what was throwing people off. And also the fact that people don't understand how it works. Anyone who says it's a cheat has never used one, because anyone who has used one knows how hard it is. It's not like you just plug it in and shit comes out of it. I mean, no, I should rephrase that. That's exactly what happens if you don't know what you're doing with it or don't have a lot of experience with it. So I think, all those kind of misconceptions are definitely going to be gone at some point. And the more venerable the airbrush, gets, like it was really commercially available in the late 1800s and then really, throughout the 1900s and up till now, really kind of got its, popularity. But I think, the next 100 years, this is going to be an ancient tool, right? I mean, acrylic paints, it's older than acrylic paints, the airbrush. So I don't want to hear any of it from any of those people. Like I said, I just walk away now. Sorry, that was a kind of an instant rant. The barrier of entry for airbrush is toughest in all mediums. Yeah. You know what? I don't know. Like I said, there's plenty of real legitimate places. Tim, right in New York, the Mizell Gallery, Louis Mizell coined the term photorealistic. So anyone who paints that way, he has a number of airbrush artists, including Chuck Close. So, it's anyone who thinks that way, I don't know. They can have their whatever. I mean, I say all that. However, if it's a show for paintbrush, like if one of the parts of the call for entry was that it was, like a traditional oil painting show, and that's the vibe that they want, that's what they wanted, I wouldn't enter an airbrush painting in that, even if I did it with oils. You know what I mean? That's the whole different thing. But if it's a complete blanket statement that airbrush is no good because it's, whatever, then yeah, I'll fight that. I'll put my gloves on for that. All right, again, I got to be super careful that I'm just kind of floating this in a few areas and not overdoing this, because I really, really want that balance, and I do not want to have the same thing happen where this goes totally yellow and it becomes a problem. So I'm just going to kind of concentrate on the areas that I think that translucency is going to show through. I don't really know. Yeah, her nose. Absolutely her nose. I was going to say, I don't know if her nose has it, or will have that, but here you go. This is the answer to the question. So here's this. Again, I got to find out what this statue is, or this sculpture, and where it came from, because I got to make sure. It would be nice to have other views of it. But anyway, if you notice her nose, her entire nose is all that translucent yellow color. So, yeah. That was quite some time ago. Okay, great. I hate to say it, but it's karma, bitter in the rear end in a real big way. Yeah, of course. That's awesome. I love when the karma stick comes around. Put an airbrush in that person's hand and let her go at it. Not so easy. It's much easier to pick up a paintbrush and paint something than it is to pick up an airbrush and paint something. I think without the right experience, I can make a mess with both. They may be dirty and the fingers are cut off, but damn it, the gloves are on. Oh, Simon, yeah, definitely. I'm ready to fight. I got my fingerless gloves on, so I'm like, ready for Fight Club. In fact, I just ordered new gloves. So, and a banana taped to a canvas is art. Here we go. All right. So, yeah. There are many levels of that for me. If someone can get $350,000 for taping a banana to a wall, I am all for it. I think that's awesome. But, beyond that, you're going to have a hard time convincing me that that it falls. See, how do I even start this? For me personally, and art is it's not like we're talking about science. I mean, we are talking about science because it's like wavelengths, and you could get very scientific about art. However, the base of it is really personal. It's you've heard the saying, I know what I like. That's like the base of art. So anything can be argued for, which makes it difficult to argue with art. But however, the way I kind of get it in my head, and what's a good piece of art for me, is if it took a learned skill, if it's something that not everyone can do, and I don't care what kind of art it is, but if it's something that everyone can't do, then it has more weight with me. You know what I mean? So if you put paint on your feet and walk around on a canvas and that sells for $1 million, I'm totally happy you did that. I think that's awesome, and it means there's someone out there who will spend $1 million on art, which is perfect. However, if I can do the same thing, from a technical standpoint, it doesn't rate very high for me. So the taped banana is perfect. Another good example of that is the dude that just got sued. I can't remember his name, but he was commissioned or had some sort of deal with some museum to produce like 6 or 7 paintings, and he ended up delivering blank canvases and was trying to pitch it as the exhibit, some kind of intrinsic, like you have to create the painting with your mind type of thing. So the museum or the gallery won the lawsuit because they paid him a lot of money for that and they didn't get much. So I'd love it. I love it. I can go on and on and on. Yeah, I mean, that's true. But if you did that, if you stuck the banana with duct tape, you didn't have the same kind of network that he had. So, it might have just been a rotted banana on the wall after a while. I don't know. So that's basically how I kind of divide it. Like if I see an artist who's maybe not very technically, like I can see what their intention is, but their technique isn't allowing them to get to that intention. For instance, photorealism is something that I'm really used to seeing. So if I see something that is approaching photorealism, it's billed as photorealism, but it's not quite there. But then they sold that painting for like $30,000. Again, that's for me, that's more impressive as a marketing thing than as a piece of art, as a technical success, I guess. So that's just me. Again, I'd love it if there was a way to have like a definitive like argument either way on any of that stuff. But as long as it's as long as beauty is in the eye of the beholder, it's going to be a tough argument for someone to make their point and have it apply for everyone. Doesn't mean it's it's not going to happen. People are going to argue about it forever. But I'm going to back you guys out a little bit because I'm kind of working all over this thing and I want you to be able to see where I'm at. Yeah, I watch a lot of like scientific YouTubers, science communicators, and I watch a lot of debating type of videos and content creators, and I love that. I wish there was something. Maybe there is, but I wish there was something we could do like that in the art world. But it's different when you're arguing from a scientific standpoint. I mean, facts are facts. Data is data. It's just not like that with art, I mean, it's like I said, it is in some way. Like if you're arguing about red, there's a way to test red, If someone says something's red and someone says something is maroon, there's a way to break down that color to find out exactly what it is. But as far as what good art is, that's a tougher one. There we go. How was that rant? Yeah, and that's exactly what that turned out to be, Brian. I wish I had the info on that. I read the article. It was pretty interesting because that's exactly what the argument was, that this gallery clearly was that wasn't right. It's not, I don't know. You look at Rothko paintings, and I know I have very, very talented, intelligent artist friends that really love Rothko, and I look at it and I still just see a blue square. So that's where the argument back and forth comes from. And I'm the first to admit that I don't know about his art. I don't understand what he was doing. I don't understand how he did it. So I don't know that that anyone could just paint a blue square and then call it art and have it sell for millions, or that it's revolutionary. I don't know, because I don't know enough about his art. One instance that I talk about before is, Jackson Pollock came under so much fire when for a long time, because people would see his art and say, I could do that. Until you really found out like what was going through that guy's brain and how fractal his artwork is, meaning you could take a 1 foot square of it on some of the paintings and then enlarge it and put it next to a photo of the entire painting, and it looks like they're just now two paintings. You know what I mean? He painted fractally, which is mind-bending. That this crazy, looks random type of thing actually has this structure in it that's crazy, like advanced. It's nuts. So I get that part of it too. So I don't know. Enzo, what'd I miss? I believe knowledge and experience is the key indicator of sincere art by said artists. Yeah, I love that. I love, like I said, for me, I can't feel like I can do it just without any skill and any practice. Like that's really what it is for me, So it's a tough subject to tackle from any form of art. I'm not a fan of 3-chord punk music, but I can listen to 3-chord from Georgia Satellites all day long. That's exactly it, Simon. And the same thing. No one's going to say, Georgia Satellites produced technically challenging work on the level of Vivaldi. No one's saying that. But they're also not, they're not saying that either. It's just, I think it bugs me when people have a better story about their art than the art itself. You know what I mean? Again, I appreciate that from a marketing standpoint. If you can tape a banana to the wall and make everyone believe that, or explain it in a way that someone is then going to give you $350,000, to me that makes you a better salesman than artist. But again, that's just me. So, have you seen the movie Life of His Life, played by Ed Harris? It was very interesting. Chris, I haven't. Again, I should do more homework on it. But I'm careful not to trash Rothko, although he comes up a lot when people talk about minimalistic art. You know what I mean? He seems to be the poster child. Like I said, I have this very good friend. She is an amazing artist, and and she's not minimalist. She does these. She doesn't do. How do I describe it? Her paintings are very gestural. She does a lot of encaustic painting, very thick, colorful, intense, just time-wise and detailed stuff. So, I have a lot of respect for her. Plus, I've seen her body of work over her life, and she's done a lot of like realism type paintings as well. So I know she's got all kinds of chops, and she loves Rothko. And she was not really explaining it to me, but telling me about how much she loves his art. And, and that, again, that's coming from someone who really does know what they're talking about. So I don't know, I should probably shut up about him because, like I said, I do not know what I should know to be talking about him. And Tim is a huge fan. So there you go. So Tim can explain. Not right here, Tim. I'm not putting you on the spot. So yeah, I love it. That can go on and on. But hopefully, while I've been yapping and just kind of jumping around this thing and picking at it, hopefully kind of getting a feel for how I'm going to continue to attack this thing. This thing is going to come together just really slowly, and I'm just going to kind of creep up on it because, again, at the end, I want this really soft, I want that feel of marble, that softness that you know, a really white piece of marble gives you. And I want to hold up short because I don't want this to look just like a black and white portrait of Emily. I want it to ultimately look like it was carved from a piece of marble. So, and it looks like I definitely had a problem with the airbrush down in here. This is a mess, but I can fix it because it's pretty dark right in here, so I'm good. His color fields and edge work are thrilling. See, that's what I need to know. I also will fully put out there that I have never seen a piece of his in real life. So, of course, I'm sure Tim has, because, again, New York, and that makes it easy. You know, I may have a totally different overall feel for it when I actually stand in front of it. That little scratch on her nose is going to bug me till I fix it. I don't even know if you guys can see that. But apparently I dragged something across it and scratched it. So we're going to fix that right now. It's a super easy fix, but... Oh, the Jackson Pollock movie, Chris. I thought Ed Harris was, I thought there was a Rothko movie, sorry. Yeah, thank you, Ryan. Ryan, and like I said, I didn't see you jump on, but I saw your post where you posted like a whole bunch of stuff that you've just done or have done, and it looked amazing, man. So cool. Some of that stuff I hadn't seen yet, so that was neat. All right, so I'm going to use the highlight color, which is what I did mainly all of it with, and I think, I don't know, is this thin? No, it's not. It's 100% 2, so I got to thin this out too because I definitely don't want this super chunky and thick. So add a bunch of reducer to that. That's not what I want. This is what I want. Okay. All right. No pressure, Tim. Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Tim. I'm getting there. All right, so I got the white in here. This brush needs to be cleaned out, but so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of repair that little scratch across her nose. So what I don't want to do is I don't want to get too much of this color on what I've started on this eye here. So I'm just going to kind of block off. That's kind of a crappy edge. There we go. Just going to kind of block off her eye. See, like that. Too much. Crap. Let that dry off. There we go. Try it again but with less suckage. Good. That's better. All fixed. So, and you guys saw the post with the guitar. So I'll be, you guys will see more of that guitar than anyone, that SG body that I have. And actually, I'm going to pull this back. I think I'm going to probably call it there because I really do need to get the rest of the 543s done. But hopefully you guys get a good feel for where this is going. So yeah, so I posted a picture of that guitar body. I've had that for about a year, and it hasn't been a rush to get that done by any stretch, which is why it's been here for a year. But I'm definitely going to start that. That's not going to be, I mean, I might do some of it on Monday night, but that's going to be a big, there's a lot to do on that. But more than likely, I'll be working on that a lot on the YouTube feed, this feed here. So you guys will see a lot of that. But first I have to get it sealed and painted and cleared, and then I'll be able to start putting the artwork on it. But that is how this is coming together. I'm pretty happy with it overall. I got to be real careful that her hair doesn't get too piecey. In fact, I may end up thickening up some of these. See how it's kind of like noodly right now? I want these to be thicker, you know, more like this. Emily has great wavy hair anyway, so I want it more like this. So what I may end up doing is carving back out of these hollows and thickening these up to kind of make them more like that. I definitely am going to do that. And now is the time to do it, because, you know, I haven't committed too much to the dark areas, so I can really battle back. But that's definitely what I'm going to do. I'm going to chunk these things all up. But yeah, thanks guys. Oh, Simon, yeah, I love that you guys hang out. Thank you so much, everyone. I'll switch to this one. I'll turn the, oh no, because I did that. Turn this one on while I swap that camera back. There we go. That's the one I wanted. I'm going to unplug this to get this out of the way. And then, yeah. All right, so I know all the stuff on the way. There we go. That's all I got. So next time I see you, it'll be 2024. So I hope you guys have a safe and happy new year. Take it slow. Be good to others. Do good. And yeah, that's what I got. So thank you all for hanging out with me. Thank you all for hitting that like and subscribe button. Next year is all about, I've spent this year, 23, setting up how I want the whole social media thing to kind of be. So the whole structure is set up in 2023, and from 2024 is really the big push to make it grow. I want it all self-sustaining by the end of the year, and that is 100% dependent on what you guys just did today, hanging out with me and commenting and liking, and it means the world to me. It's going to be, I want it to be a big part of what I do around here, and you guys certainly make that happen. So I cannot thank you enough. It is truly something that I do not take lightly, and I appreciate all you guys. So happy 23, happy 24. Be good. I love you guys, and I will catch you guys next time. Thanks a lot. Oh, I don't even know what button I'm pushing.